Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Brown's Latest. I'm Dave Grendzynski. A lot of people call me Grizzer. And this is where you can get caught up on some of the latest news and information involving our favorite team in the NFL. That is, of course, the Cleveland Browns. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you to everyone who has liked our previous episodes, who have subscribed to the channel. We're almost to 9,000. Once we get to 9,000, I will change the fit for one day. The Orange Quarter Zip will get a day off. And we'll change it up for one show once we get to 9,000. Thank you also to everyone who has scanned the QR code and become members of the Browns' latest dog pound. And everyone, thank you to all of you who get down there in the viewer comments section to make your voice heard. Now, we are only a couple of days away from a game, folks, and we need to know who is the player with the most to prove when the Browns take the field against the Bengals. Also, the game isn't until Sunday, but one Browns defender is already in Joe Burrow's head. We also found out when Shedeur Sanders can be expected to play, courtesy of Browns Insider, and Deion Sanders sends a message to a former Steeler who popped off about Shedeur. And then in the viewer comments, the best running back that we will have all season long is already on the roster. We'll find out who it is. But first things first, the schedule. There's not much left to it. Today they'll practice the final tune-up. No availability tomorrow. That's a walkthrough. But we will hear from a couple of the coaches today. And then Sunday, the Bengals come to town. And the big talk going into this game right now is the defense. You know, Grant Delpit and Schlesinger, they talked yesterday. So did Schwartz. And Schwartz talked about how Joe Burrow will trust any receiver, even tight ends, if they get a one-on-one matchup. So they have to be very mindful of that, did Schwartz say. But Joe Bitonio talked about the offense and said that they're going to run some combo blocks at Trey Hendrickson's. And him and all of his, he got all that money, so he's going to be a little harder to move now. So they're going to have to throw a couple of people at him. Tommy Reese, the OC, he says he's going to be in the box on game days, and Coach Stefanski will be calling the plays. Well, we already know that. And then they asked Bubba Ventrone, the special teams coordinator, about, holy Schmidt, you cut Dustin Hopkins? And he said, it was the right thing to do for the team. He did everything that we wanted him to do. And so Andre Schmidt is our new kicker. And then Reese also talked about how Flacco's experience is just having a calming effect on the entire offense. And speaking of Grandpa Joe, he's the player with the most to prove come Sunday. Why is that? Well, you know what? He's a 40-year-old quarterback, and nobody is giving him a chance this year. The odds of him, he put together a clean Super Bowl run back in the day, but, the chances of him turning back the clock and reliving that magic are pretty slim. And, he's still in great shape. But, he was out of the league when we found him, and here we are 2 years later. The other thing is this. Remember, he should have been here last year, but we didn't keep him because of Deshaun Watson, and so he goes off to Indianapolis and it ends up in that horrible system because it was the same situation. They're trying to make that system for Anthony Richardson at the time. It doesn't fit Flacco. Complete mess over there. The Browns talked to Daniel Jones and Russell Wilson, because Myles Garrett said, okay, I'll come back, but you're going to have to give me a veteran quarterback. I want somebody who, we knows what the heck they're doing. I don't know how they thought Daniel Jones and Russell Wilson were the options, but that's who they talked to. And then they got Pickett, and they were thinking Pickett's 27, and we'll bring him in here, and he's a vet, and Myles will be happy, and then hopefully Pickett will stop being Pickett. But then he got hurt. That didn't matter. But they got Flacco as an insurance policy, and they got him back here just because, he flashed in those 5 games. And what he did all of training camp was he just kept flashing. Remember, they weren't giving him any reps in the beginning, and then they just kept adding on that because he got hurt. Pickett got hurt, and Dylan Gabriel got hurt. And so Flacco gets the job. And and I've been talking about it, folks, from when I was out at camp and everything, like he has just looked locked in. You saw it in the preseason game that he played. So, I mean, he's motivated. I think his kids are a big part of that. His kids are older now, and this is something that they'll remember if Dad can go out there and tear up the NFL one last time. So he's the guy. He's the one with the most to prove because he was kind of an afterthought and then brought in here, and then now look at him. Floats right to the top of the quarterback room. And he's got all the experience. And like I said, he's still in shape. He doesn't run as well. I don't think we'll see a big run. Like his very first game against the Bengals, he had like a long touchdown run. They were joking him with it. I think they pulled up that video for him. Probably won't see that happen on Sunday, a long touchdown run from Joe Flacco. But you don't know. I mean, when I was out at camp, he was able to escape the rush a couple of times. So there's still a little bit in the tank. So he is going to be locked in, motivated. I mean, he's not in a contract year, but I'll tell you what, he definitely has something to prove. Because here's the other thing that he's up against. The Bengals, over his career, he doesn't typically fare well. In his career, he's 9-12 against the Bengals. This, of course, going all the way back to the Baltimore days. He's got 21 touchdowns and 21 interceptions. Very Pickett-like numbers, and a passer rating of 72. So, he's got to get over that hump, too. I don't know what it is about the Bengals, but the bottom line is they stink now, and so he should be able to have his way. Now, hopefully Myles Garrett will have his way with Joe Burrow. Hopefully they'll meet in the backfield about 5 or 6 times on Sunday afternoon, but he's already in Burrow's head. Did you hear? Burrow's talking about him. Like you don't even have to bring him up. And here's what Burrow said about trying to contain Myles. He's like, he can win you the game if you let him. That's what he said earlier this week. You have to, number one, game plan around him. And then number two, as a quarterback, you have to be aware of where he is all of the time. And so we told you what Joe Burrow has done against the Bengals in his career. Take a look at what Myles has done. This is just against the Bengals, folks. 13 sacks in 12 games. 28 solo tackles, 6 assists. That's a total of 34 tackles. He's got a pressure rate of 4.2% on dropbacks. Forced fumbles, he's got 2. And then his pass rush win rate is 31%, his win rate since 2017. So Myles Garrett will wreak havoc. He is a force to be reckoned with, especially when the Browns play the Bengals, and Burrow knows it. And so they're going to have to come up with something. But here's the big difference now with the line. I mean, got Mason Graham. This should be an opportunity for Mason Graham, to shine in his first game, because the Bengals are going to have to do something. They're going to have to, if they double Myles and they're going to give the one-on-ones to Mason Graham, he's got to win them. I mean, he has a chance to really make a name for himself right out of the gate in his first NFL game. And same goes with Carson Schwarzenegger. If they start sending him on blitzes and things, he gets the Burrow a couple of times, but I do think this is an opportunity for Mason Graham. Huge opportunity. Or the other thing is this: if they double him and he doesn't necessarily, and Garrett's coming off the edge and just keeps, ended up in Burrow's face on every single play, that's just as well. So that's the thing about Mason Graham. He will either eat up the double teams or he will get those one-on-one situations because they're out there doubling Myles, or even Alex Wright or Isaiah McGuire, and Mason Graham should have an impact as well. But the bottom line is we are already in Burrow's head. I love it. Now, Shedeur is the third-string quarterback heading into this game, but we have found out, courtesy a Browns insider, when we can expect Joe Burrow to play. And this is what Mary Kay Cabot says. She says, as for Sanders, he'll also get some live action this season, but probably not until later in the season when he's more seasoned. That's a lot of seasoning in that quote. But from the Department of, probably already knew that. I mean, that's fine. He will get his chance. Here's the thing you have to remember with Shedeur. Haslam said both rookies will play this year, so it's only a matter of time. Once they get him to a spot where he's comfortable, and Tommy Reese talked about it yesterday. When they asked about Gabriel, they're like they just feel like his command of the offense is pretty good. He's still a rookie, and the bottom line is those were vanilla defenses he was playing in the preseason. So you're not going to know what you have with Gabriel until he actually plays in a regular season game, which, I mean, for all intents and purposes, you hope he doesn't this year, because that means Flacco is balling out at 40. We'll see, But the bottom line is they are all going to get their shot. And I think it's going to be Sunday because we're going to be up 56-2. So all three of them will get to play on Sunday. But then the other thing that happened was Ryan Clark, man, he's an analyst now, former Steeler, who all the people were on him, calling him a sellout and everything because he said, look, just Shedeur needs a little bit more time to learn the NFL game, and people he got on Instagram and said everybody can kiss my and so he said, I love Deion and his family, but I want my voice to mean something. He's trying to get people to understand, like, it's okay. We've been talking about it here too. It's okay to let these guys sit and learn for a little while. It's fine. It's okay. And so, it just got Ryan Clark riled up, but then Deion send a message. He gets up there and he sends a message and he goes, it was great though, because it's Deion. He says, we love you, my brother. This is what he said to Ryan Clark. Keep on being you. I respect you, admire you, and count on you to keep it 100. So there you go. Deion coming back. And, I mean, that's Deion. Class act, man. I love Deion. So, I mean, you can't, I've talked about my love for Deion Sanders. And that day he won that bet for me. But no, I just love him even coming out of college and everything. All right, now. Shedeur may not be. No, he'll be on the field because we're going to be up 56-2. But always on the field are the viewer comments. And today we'll start with Earn Ya Bones, who says, if our DBs can cover for 3 seconds, the game is over. Browns win 27-17. Here's the other thing, Earn Ya Bones, that helps the defensive backs. That push up front. We are going to, if Burrow has to take his eyes away from his receivers, even for a second, and then move in the pocket. If he's dropping, every time he drops back, he's got to shift and move. There's your 3 seconds. This is going to be a completely different look. Burrow and the Bengals and their weak offensive line have never seen a Browns defensive line like they're going to see on Sunday. This is probably, as far back as I can remember, this is probably the best defensive line we have had in at least 40 years. Going back to the Cardiac Kid days, with Alzado and even through Michael Dean Perry and all those guys. Like, it's been a while since we've had talent like this on the defensive line, and that is only going to help our guys on the outside, especially if they get matched up in those one-on-ones. If he's got to throw it a little earlier than he wants to, here comes Delpit from his safety spot pick. So let's go. All right, the Rock in My Shoe says, dude, those stats don't tell the story. We all know Jerome Ford sucks. I don't. I continue with the Rock in My Shoe. Anyone who watched all those games knows this. He's not consistent, boom or bust, and most plays, it's a bust. Also, being able to run up the middle matters. I don't know, man. We had some pretty good stat. 5-point yards per carry last year. Not too bad. The Rock in My Shoe. Is this why they call you the Rock in My Shoe? Because right now you're kind of being a rock in my shoe. But I think they have not used him correctly. I am very intrigued. I cannot wait to see how they use Jerome Ford, especially if what we're hearing is true and that he will be the workhorse and Sampson will be the change of pace back. I have a lot of faith in Ford. Plus, contract year. That means a lot. Half the guys I drafted in fantasy this year are all on a contract year. The name of my team should be contract year because I'm telling you, man, it means something. It matters when these guys are in a contract year. Evan Joseph, 66, says, Sampson, Dylan Sampson is going to be the best running back we have. Mark it down. Here's why I don't disagree with you, Evan Joseph. The guy was the SEC Player of the Year last year. Do you know how hard that is? And nobody talks about it. Sampson is going to be a stud. That's why I was drooling over Judkins and Sampson together. And then you got Ford as your third down guy. Look out. You know, the depth and the versatility we would have in the running back room. But we don't have that. So let's stop talking about Judkins. I agree. I think Sampson, I think he is just like, no one's really taking him seriously at this point, but I think he is going to be something special. I'm with you, Evan Joseph. David Grashel, 19, probably for Bernie, says simply, 31-27 Browns. The only thing I disagree with is the 27 because I don't think Cincinnati is going to put up that many points. I could see the Browns, honestly, winning this game by a couple of touchdowns, but it's going to be a little lower scoring than that. Think about it. The Browns want to run the ball, run the clock, keep their offense off the field, and keep putting points on the board. And so, preferably get a lead. It's a lot easier to do that when you have a lead. And we're going to end on this. He's back. We had to use this. Mike's Chickens and Garden, 3370. He's back. He knows I talked about his comment the other day on the show, and he said, LOL. This is the explanation of his YouTube handle. He says, I used to raise chickens and have a huge garden and did videos on both. Still have the garden, not the chickens. But he didn't say if he still does his garden videos. But that I was cracking up when I saw that. Mike's Chicken and Garden, chicken back in. I loved it. All right, folks. We already had our first NFL game last night. Are you kidding me? It's here, baby. And we are not turning back. Another game tonight. And then the Brownies and the Bengals on Sunday. Can't wait. Tomorrow and Sunday, we will be here. Don't you worry. Tomorrow, I got a stat for you that, oh my gosh, this is the massive difference between the Browns and the Bengals. Their biggest weakness is our biggest strong point. And we're going to talk about it on tomorrow's show. All right, that'll do it for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's get to 9,000 subscribers. Go Browns! We'll see you next time. Hey, yeah! Boom! Go Browns!